Thank you so much for staying with us. Now let's focus on money-making ventures. Of course, we will be focusing on the agricultural sector, which is one of the thriving sectors in Nigeria, and we will be looking at ways to make money from that sector, especially talking agribusiness. And with us to discuss that is Adaora Akojiro. She is CEO Bera Tomato, talking to us this morning via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us, Adaora. Adora, can you hear me? Okay, we'll try to link up with Adora, but we know that the agricultural sector is one sector that the federal government has been talking about diversifying into, you know, because it is one sector that cannot ever go out of fashion or out of vogue, because people have to eat.
They have to eat. Food security.
Food security.
And it's a sector that is really thriving when it comes to business opportunities there. I think Adora is back with us.
Adora.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you for joining us, Adora.
Okay, all right, thank you for having me.
So tell us, let's talk about the business opportunities that are, available in the agribusiness. Adora. Okay, I think there are some audio issues there. But you know, when you talk about agriculture, Adora.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Tell us about the business opportunities available in the agricultural sector.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Good morning once again. So the business opportunities are a lot. And then they come in different stages or at different levels of agriculture. There is the production aspect, that is the farming, which most people actually focus on. When you talk about agriculture, the first thing they think about or that comes to their mind is farming. And then, everybody's scared, I don't carry hoe, I don't want to carry cutlass, I don't want to. And that is for plants. Aspect of
okay. We'll try to link back up with Adora.
Apparently, she was giving us the different, aspects of production. The one that has to do with plants, that's the farming, cultivating the land, planting, and, tendering to the crops. Then you also have, the animal rearing aspect of farming
but
as well.
There's one major challenge that a lot of youths have, especially when it comes to farming, because people don't want to get their hands dirty.
Yep.
But it is in that dirt that the money is. You know how they say
the Yoruba proverb.
Hello, Adora.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. Go ahead, please.
Okay. All right. So I can hear you. I could hear you all along. Anyway, I think it's the network. But as I was saying, I was talking about the different stages to this agriculture thing. Yeah. And then you talk about farming, mostly, which is more common. Everybody once you mention agriculture, their minds just shoot straight to farming. There is the aspect of animal farming, okay? Then there is the aspect of value addition, which is where I am. That is processing, food processing. There are also aspects of agriculture that also, if you want to go deep down, you talk about research, where some of these agencies and organizations actually come in, where you talk about research into the kinds of seeds they want to give the farmers, fertilizers and all of that would help to boost the farmers' output. So those are some of the aspects there are to, the basic aspects there are to agriculture.
Okay.
That is basically it, yeah.
So tell us about Bera Tomato, because of course that already tells me that it has to do with tomato, and you already talked about value addition, which is what you focus on. How do you go about this? What's the production process like?
Okay, so Bera Tomato is our brand name for our tomato paste and variants of other products that we have that come from tomato, pepper, the tatashe, onions, shambo, and all of that. So we process all of those into paste. And you know that in Nigeria here, we love to use tomatoes a lot for different things. For instance, in many Christian homes, people must cook Sunday rice. They must make stew, they'll cook jollof and jollof rice and all those things that have to do with tomatoes. And then we must use pepper. Some people enjoy a lot of pepper, some people enjoy a little of it, but they must use pepper, we must use onions and all of that to cook. So but we actually are consuming that by purchasing the already existing brands of, tomato paste outside of there. Okay, so but Bera tomato is distinguished because it is 100% natural. It is 100%. There is no additive. There are no preservatives in it. There is no coloring or what have you.
Before you get to have to pay for advertising, let's just go into the nitty-gritty of this, because I'm interested in how the production goes. What are the challenges you face? Because we want people out there who are thinking of venturing into this kind of business to understand the pros and cons of going into it. Adora. Okay, so of course, every business has its pros and cons, and especially when you're talking about value addition, when you're talking about packaging and all of that, there are a lot of things involved, especially in a climate like Nigeria. Hello, Adora.
Okay. Yes, I'm with you.
Yes. Okay. So tell us the challenges, what the process involves, how have you been able to, overcome some of the challenges?
Okay, so like the processes is just, or the processes rather involved are just basic procurement and then processing, nothing too far from what we know and what our mothers have taught us, those of us that have entered the kitchen, you understand. But it's the packaging, that differs, and the mode of preservation that differs. So some of the challenges that I've actually encountered in putting Bera tomato together has stemmed from having natural products stand intact, from production, from packaging till it gets to the final consumer. We had, when I first started, when I launched last year, I had 1,000 bottles of tomatoes that I made. But along the line, because we're still trying to put it together and then put our research together, experiment and everything, I lost almost 400 bottles because we didn't get that process quite right. So I had about 600 bottles left. And, but this year because it's a seasonal work, so this year we had to go back to the drawing board, recheck all of the things that we try to do and see where the problems are coming from. So this year is a whole lot better. There's a whole lot, we're excited with the products we are seeing this year.
So do you use, sorry, Samson, do you use preservatives to preserve the tomatoes, and does it have any adverse effect?
No, we don't use preservatives to preserve our tomatoes. It is what we get from the farm, fresh harvested from the farm. We bring it in, we process it, and that's it. Exactly what you get is what you see is what you get, so to say. Yeah.
Okay, talking about food processing, the process itself, harvesting and processing it into, as you mentioned, tomato into paste and what have you. What's the cost? Because we have those who are watching and want them to understand that for them to delve into this business, this is the cost. So if someone wants to delve into, for example, the tomato business, processing it into paste and what have you, what's the cost of getting into the business itself?
Well, I would say I started my business with roughly about 1.5 million.
Okay.
Yes. And, it's when you check it, it's quite capital intensive, because even though I don't have the big machines that I need yet, because we're still coming up, we're still under the category of an SME, right? So we started with local processing equipment, the ones you can buy around you in the market and the ones that the local fabricators make. That is what we have started with. Right. So, but as time goes on, of course, there will be a need to upgrade and have good standard food grade equipment that can actually give you what you need and actually reduce your risk of food contamination. Okay. So the cost for this business, it's quite capital intensive. It's not something that you could gather in a couple of thousands. You think about a lot of things, your packaging materials, your rent, your equipment, and then your staff and all of that. So,
okay. What? I said access to a farm where you harvest your products.
Access to a farm, exactly. Transport and all of that cost, yes.
Okay, looking at it, the Nigerian economy, is one that is peculiar. Let me use that word. And Nigerians need multiple streams of income to be able to live, a certain standard of life. For this business, in terms of food processing, can it be adopted as, you know, a side hustle, as we say, or a passive income? How capital, okay, not capital intensive now, how time intensive is it?
Okay, well, it depends, you know, because everybody has their strength. Some people are good at doing 2, 3 things at the same time,
Okay.
juggling all of it. Some people.
Okay, I think we lost
Okay,
audio
I
with.
think apparently she's trying to say that it's possible that it's a passive income. Although
As long as you're able to manage
to
it.
manage it, the 1.5 though.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, yes,
go
yes,
ahead,
go
please.
ahead, please.
Okay, yes. So I was saying that it depends on your strength.
Okay.
While some will probably be able to juggle only one thing at a time, maybe one job at a time, you know, others can manage 2 or 3. But I would not lie, this business is actually very, very, it takes a lot of time. It's time consuming, right? So and because of the fact that you want to ensure good quality control, you have to be there. As the owner, you have to put your eyes down. You have to make sure that, you know, everybody's giving you the exact thing that you need, because you're giving your customers wet food, and the risk of contamination is high. You understand? It's not like dry ingredients or spices that, you know, you just put in the dehydrator, you dry, and, you know, but this is wet foods. Any small thing, it will attract bacteria and stuff start to grow on it. All those molds and all this stuff start to grow on it.
So I'm concerned about the insecurity in the country. Does it affect you in any way, especially considering the fact that you have to go to the farm to get your raw materials? Does it affect you? And how lucrative is this business? What's the take home like?
Okay, well, insecurity is affecting everyone in different ways, right? Either you want to get your raw materials from the farm, or even want to send your products from wherever you are to another part of the country. Like I operate in Kano, right?
Okay.
But in Kano, we can see that at least we have peace to a large extent. We don't really have this insecurity challenge. So our farmers easily get the farms, and we too as buyers easily get the farms, access the farms to buy what we want and go. Right. So it's not really much of a problem here in Kano.
Okay.
So, and then to the second question you talked about, like, is it lucrative?
How lucrative? Yes.
It is. It is very lucrative. Why? Because tomatoes is a peculiar product in Nigeria. Nigerians consume tomatoes a lot. And if you check some of the statistics that we have access to, actually shows that we have a high consumption to the extent that we can't even meet our domestic consumption. Hence, the country has to import. I think the amount says to about $360 million yearly, as at the last data that I saw. You know, that's how much tomato paste we import into the country on a yearly basis to meet that demand. And because we have a shortfall in demand, that shortfall is not necessarily because our production may not meet up entirely, but then there are losses along the value chain, because the farmers, they cannot store, they cannot process, they don't have the equipment to do all of that. So that is where we come in as indigenous processing companies that offtake the tomatoes from them, help them to help the tomatoes not to get spoiled, process them, and then market them. So,
especially with the challenge of storage facilities.
What did you say?
I said especially with the challenge of storage facilities.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's why we come in. We are helping them to give the products a long their financial losses and all that. Yes.
Okay, just as we wrap up, you know, for those who are aspiring to delve into this as well, not necessarily, you know, the tomato aspect of things, it could be other forms of food processing, probably from cassava to gari and what have you. What will be the pieces of advice you give to such people?
Go ahead. Because you know what, it's not even a thing of like the issue of food security is a global issue. Everybody, like people, major organizations are now promoting the issue of food security. So you would have, there is a market, not just here in Nigeria, even outside. Nigerians are now everywhere, all over the world in diaspora. You have people, even entrepreneurs like to other countries calling for.
Okay. Network is a bit messing up there, but it's obvious she's you know, giving
She already made that
support
point.
to those who are aspiring to delve into the business. And as we say all the time, food is essential to life. Food security definitely is one thing that we as a people need to, you know, have. So Adora, are you there? Okay, the network is very
we'll
friendly.
just wrap it up there. We've been speaking with Adora, and she's been talking to us about her tomato business and, of course, the challenges, how to go into it, how lucrative it is, right here on iBrand Break. We'll take a break now. When we come back, it will be time for sports. Please stay with us.